Well, good morning and welcome to Friday. It is day 26 of Advent and it is the 23rd of December today. Our devotion is entitled The Unfathomably Wise Counselor. The Unfathomably Wise Counselor. Again, a reference to Isaiah 9:6. Today, Wonderful Counselor is the name of this child. In him, the wonder of all wonders has taken place. The birth of the Savior child has gone forth from God's eternal counsel. In the form of a human child, God gave us his Son. God became human. The Word became flesh, John 1:14. That is the wonder of the love of God for us, and it is the unfathomably wise counselor who wins us this love and saves us. But because this child of God is his own wonderful counselor, he himself is also the source of all wonder and all counsel. To those who recognize in Jesus the wonder of the Son of God, every one of his words and deeds becomes a wonder. They find in him the last, most profound, most helpful counsel for all needs and questions. Yes, before the child can open his lips, he is full of wonder and full of counsel. Go to the child in the manger. Believe him to be the Son of God, and you will find in him wonder upon wonder, counsel upon counsel. Those words are by Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Now there's a short segment from poet Lucy Shaw in a work entitled In God With Us. Actually, God With Us is the name of the title. Poet Lucy Shaw, In God With Us. In winter, it seems that the season of spring will never come. And in both Advent and Lent, it's the waiting that's hard, the in-between of divine promise and its fulfillment. Most of us find ourselves dangling in this hiatus, which in the interval may seem to be a waste of time. But the longer we wait, the larger we become, and the more joyful our expectancy. With such motivation, we can wait as we sense that God is indeed with us and at work within us, as he was with Mary, as the child within her grew. Anticipation. When we only have anticipation for a brief moment, the coming of that which we anticipate is not as powerful. But when we anticipate something great for a longer period of time, the more that anticipation, that expectancy grows in us. And when the event happens, when the gift is given, when whatever it may be that we're anticipating, it increases in value for us, does it not? This is from Galatians chapter 4, verses 4 through 7. But when the fullness of time had come, whose fullness? Who's measuring that? God is. But when the fullness of time had come, God sent his Son, born of a woman, born under the law, in order to redeem those who were under the law, so that we might receive adoption as children. And because you are children, God has sent the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, crying, Abba, Father. So you are no longer a slave, but a child. And if a child, then also an heir through God. I know God isn't measured by time. I know that He's not restrained in it like we are. And yet I wonder what level of anticipation was there from the time that Adam and Eve sinned in the garden through all the generations and centuries of sin and evil and death and destruction and all of that. Was there this sense of anticipation for when it was he would send his son into the world to seek and save the lost? Interesting line that starts here, but when the fullness of time had come. We put things on the calendar here so that we both can see what's anticipated, what happens that day, where are we going that day. I don't wish to limit God in any way, but I wonder if he had a calendar. When the fullness of time, okay, the day's here. The time has arrived. The time right now is just right to send my son into the world. I pray that we ourselves right now are living in anticipation of his return. That's the spirit. That's the sense of Advent for us. We know about the first coming. And now Advent for us is the anticipation of a second coming. And if we have that hope, Peter would say, if we have that kind of hope, then what sort of people ought we to be in godly living? Blessings to you today as the days get closer for the remembrance, that day of remembrance of the incarnation. Blessings.